very important to understand how an image size changes depending on whether you have the resample box checked or not. This is a very large file, which I would not place on Facebook or on the internet because it would take forever to upload. It is a 72 resolution at 72 by 48 in physical height. I am keeping the proportions constrained by keeping this box locked. That means my ratio is going to stay the same no matter what I put it as. But what I'm going to work on and show is changing the resolution and how it affects it. If I have it as resample and I change the resolution up to a printable one, as you can see, it is now 300 pixels per inch. However, my file has almost gone to a gigabyte. That's because it is taking more pixels and putting it into the same area. So it's going to increase the physical size. I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click off the resample, uncheck it. Now things are going to start to change because I have it constrained. If I change the resolution now, if I increase it up to 300, as you can see, my image size has changed. It's gone to a 17 by 11. The physical file has stayed the same. And the reason for that is I am just telling it to take the same amount of, or this amount of pixels, not to resample the image or to judge the image, and put it into how much this would fit into a smaller area. When you have the resample off, anytime you make changes, it's going to change all of it. If you increase the pixels, you will decrease the physical size, because you're telling Photoshop that you want this amount of pixels from this image to go into this amount of space. So it's going to shrink it. If I take a screen capture or a PNG, which is usually a 72 resolution, and if I take the resample off, and let's say somebody likes this, they want to blow it up into a larger one, let's say a 16, the problem is the resolution is going to get worse, because I just told Photoshop that I didn't want you to add any pixels or try to place them anywhere else. When you take and change the size, it is going to lower the resolution if you increase the size, because you're spreading the pixels out into a larger area. On the other side of that, if I take the same, and let's say I want to increase the resolution, let's just go to a 240. As you can see, I now have a 2.5 by 3 inch image. Again, I am telling it that I want to increase the amount of pixels, but I want you to constrain the proportions so that my image doesn't change. The only thing that's going to change is the size. If I go back to this, I leave the resample on this time, and this time I want to go up to 240. It does that by keeping it still as an 8 by 10, but it has increased the physical size of my image. These are some things to be aware of whether you have the resample box checked or unchecked. If it is checked, one of these are going to stay the same, either the height and width or the resolution if you make any changes. If you have it unchecked and you make a change in any one of these three boxes, it will change all of them. If you increase the resolution, you are going to decrease the physical size. And if you decrease the resolution, you're going to increase the physical size. The reason that it does that is that it is either spreading out or compressing the pixels to fit in the size that you want it to be. So that is one of the major things to try and keep in mind, is whether this resample box is checked or unchecked, and do you have the proportions constrained or not.